great.
Perfect. Okay. So really what I want to do is thank you for the introduction. I was brought on about 3.5 months ago to the Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation and Reentry to guide Arizona Correctional Industries into a workforce development agency. So a little bit about ACI. We are a self-funded business. So we generate all of our revenue based on contracts with employers. We also have owned and operated shops within the department, within the complexes, where we just really focus on putting the incarcerated population to work. So one thing that we do really well is give them an income, give them something to do all day long. They're working in some really in-demand industries and occupations. What we don't do really well is credential them. And so we employ about 1,500 inmates currently through about 25 workforce development contracts and about 8 to 10 owned and operated shops. But, they brought myself and Kennedy Riley, my deputy, on board to really develop some more workforce programs. For corrections specifically, so that way when the individuals are working for ACI, they're not just gaining an income, they're also gaining some type of an industry recognized credential. So that's the history, a little bit of background on ACI. What I really wanted to share with you all today is what we're doing specific to the construction industry as far as credentialing. So a little bit about our owned and operated shops. I'm not sure if any of you had an opportunity to go and tour any of our shops within the complexes, but I want to call out one of our biggest, which is the industrial yard out in Florence. So at our industrial yard, we do a lot of different things. You'll see that we do metal fabrication. We have a wood shop. We do a lot of design and engineering and even installation. So we will create a custom product for one of our customers through those shops. We will then have our inmate population, along with our internal staff, go out and install those things if installation is necessary. We have a crew that does CAD design. So if a customer isn't sure what they want, we can design it for them and send them a few examples on what our inmate population is capable of producing for them. And then we do have EF block. So we're doing some manufacturing of alternative building materials for EF block. And we do all of those things within the complexes. So we're providing them a work experience or on the job training, but we're not yet credentialing them. The occupations that we have within a lot of those different shops I have on the screen here, and I'm not going to read through each and every one of them, but what I do want to share is if you see an occupation on this screen, our team here at ACI is working with the community colleges, the universities, the apprenticeship programs to credential each and every one of those occupations. So if there is an inmate working in the wood shop, we could credential them as a cabinet maker or a carpenter or a millwork specialist. So that way, when they are released, they're not only released with a savings account, to be quite honest, because some of them, if they're working for 5 to 10 years, they could leave with $20,000. We also want them to have an industry recognized credential, not just a certificate of completion. We want them to have a credential that employers need and want in order to hire them on so they can all build a sustainable career pathway upon release. I'm very proud to announce that we currently have certified 2 CAD design specialists within the Florence complex. But that's so far as much progress as we've made in the construction industry, but we're definitely getting there. I'm sure you're all aware we release about 1,000 individuals a month. So the intent is if any of them were connected to Arizona Correctional Industries and working, they will release with that credential and hopefully full-time employment. These are just a couple of the contracts that we currently have in place. So aside from the owned and operated shops, which I just talked about within the complexes, we have workforce development contracts. So many of you probably know Hickman's Farms. That is one of our largest workforce development contracts. So we enter a contract with them. They pay our inmates, or they pay minimum wage for each inmate that works for them, and then we pay a wage to that inmate. So we do get a little bit of revenue generated from those contracts. The good thing is, again, they're working, they're doing something to keep them busy every day. It helps reduce the recidivism rate. But the bad thing is they may work for Hickman's or, the MVD or some of these other employers for several years and again, not get an industry recognized credential. So we're changing the contract language with all of our employers to say, if you want to partner with corrections and you want to hire the inmate population, we will absolutely enter a contract with you. But the contract now states that you have to provide an industry recognized credential, again, not a certificate of completion, but that credential. And you have to give our inmate population a priority interview for hire. We need to do something better that will give them a competitive edge over the general population if they've been working for these companies for 3 to 5 years or maybe even 10 to 15 years while incarcerated. So that's the direction we're going with all of our new contracts. And in the last 3 months since Kennedy and I have joined, we have established, I think, 3 to 4 brand new contracts that will display that language. And employers are very accepting of it. So it's a win-win-win for corrections, the employers, and the community. We also have the education programs and community entry side of the house. So they have some credentialed programs that they're currently working through. So I know that I think Director Cole, I had sent you some of this information in a document just so you saw exactly what we were accomplishing with the incarcerated population. I still owe you a lot of data and I'm working on that. But these are some of the programs that they also have access to as far as education goes. They're just not gaining that work experience or on the job training with those programs that I have listed on the screen. So we do partner with Rio Salado a lot to develop these programs. So we currently have construction tech, masonry, welding, HVAC basics. And then if they take the HVAC basics, they can advance to the advanced class because basics is a prerequisite. They can do electrical tech and then plumbing technician. So again, these are all training programs within the complexes or within the reentry centers, preparing them real close to their release date, but they're not gaining that valuable work experience like they would at Arizona Correctional Industries. And then a couple of things that I think are really important to share with you all about ACI and our transition to workforce development specifically is ACI, since we're a self-funded business, though a division of the Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation, and Reentry, we can serve as an employer of record for a registered apprenticeship program. So we have about 17 programs currently in-house that Kennedy and I are working on registering as an apprenticeship program. So with ACI as the employer, we will be able to hire the incarcerated population. We will be able to give them a wage increase year over year, and then they will release as a registered apprenticeship. As a registered apprentice. We are also reorganizing ACI quite a bit to be a workforce development model. So here in the next few weeks, you're probably going to see corrections releasing quite a few job descriptions for recruitment. We are going to be hiring training and education manager with a full team. So they're going to have career coordinators and employment coordinators because we really want them to work hand in hand with those education programs to ensure that they're being trained, credentialed, and then they have a job to walk into upon release. So we don't want there to be that 60, 90, or 120-day gap between the time of release and time of employment, because we definitely don't want them to come back into prison. We're also hiring a couple of different data positions. That's important because coming from the Office of Economic Opportunity, we understand that data drives all decisions, right? The data trends, the labor market information should absolutely be guiding the programs that we're credentialing or the programs that we're bringing into to corrections. So we're going to hire a couple of different data folks to make sure that we have all of that information that we need to continue building within the complexes and then once released. And then we're also developing a business development administrator position that will really go out in the community and talk about all of the great things that we're doing, talk to employers, talk to chambers, talk to like state agencies, to see where we can do better and partner. We have a comprehensive sales and customer service team right now, because as the inmates are working, creating those custom products and selling them to the community, we need a sales and customer service team to make sure that all of those responsibilities are taken care of. So the business development team will really also be critical in making sure that we can grow those teams to sell as much product as possible, so that way we can reinvest those dollars back into the inmate population as far as credentials. So I had mentioned that we weren't going to do any new contracts without credentialing and priority interview guarantees. I feel very strongly about that. And though I am a huge fan of the business community, it's just no longer going to be a great fit for Arizona Correctional Industries to enter any type of contract just to provide cheap labor, to be quite honest. We want to make sure that they have a sustainable career pathway upon release. A sustainable career. One of the other things that we do is here at our central office, we bring in clerks from the different prison complexes to work and support our staff. So we work every single day to ensure that we're providing the appropriate certifications for that population as well, so that way they can have a sustainable career. The individuals that we're working with here at our central office typically only have about a year left in custody. And so we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to overwhelm them with education and career opportunities prior to release. And then, as I also explained about those apprenticeship programs, I really want to make sure that we're following that model. I know it's an initiative of the governor, specifically in construction. So wherever a program of ours is apprenticeable, we will absolutely register it as an apprenticeship program. Currently we have 2, we have 3 in the works, but like I said, we have about 17 across construction itself that we could potentially create an RAP for. So that is ACI in a nutshell, and ACI in partnership with ADC, R&R, and our community reentry and educational program divisions as well. We are happy to have additional conversations if there's anything I didn't cover in this, but I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of how we're going towards workforce development, specifically how we're going to be supporting the construction industry. And then my contact information, my deputy's contact information, we're both always willing to come out and talk or build additional partnerships. But I will pause in case anybody on the line has any questions.
Thanks, Stacy. That's some great info. Does anybody on the line have any questions for Stacy?
Hi, Cindy. Good morning. I do.
Hey, go ahead, Sandy.
So as ACI is an employer of record, does ACI have the ability, or are you guys working on the process of actually having contractor licenses as ACI? And I ask this question because when you talk about helping people get accreditation, some of us who work in the apprenticeship space can only do business with someone that has a particular Registrar of Contractors license. So for example, we can only do business with somebody that has a C11 or a CR11 license.
Yeah, so that is hopefully going to happen. We currently have a lot of staff within ACI that work within these shops that are becoming journeymen or already are journeymen. I know that's a big difference, but it's a big step for us to get our own staff credentialed so that way we can work in that direction. So absolutely, I think that's a long-term goal for us. But again, I've only been here for about 3.5 months. So I'm really hoping by the end of the year, we can make some of those things happen. Great question though.